All right, so last week Nolan came to me with a story idea that he was going to do with the Detroit News. He wanted to go out this week and talk to Trump voters in Michigan about their support for the president and their thoughts. The media, us included, were criticized after the election for not listening to Trump voters and why they supported them. So Nolan came to us last week and he's like, I think I'm going to do this. I'm going to go out next week. And so indeed you did. So
yeah, I had a column about it today. I mean, I just thought we talk a lot about the Trump base, but again, we're back to not talking with them. We make a lot of assumptions about them. I was surprised. I thought they would be more defensive. I thought they would be angrier. They were pretty buoyant. I went out to Walled Lake to a rally at a restaurant, 80 to 100 people. They think things are going just the way they wanted them to go. They support the president still 100%. Any troubles they blame, and I was surprised by this too, not on the Democrats, but on congressional Republicans and on the media. I mean, they've fully joined the president in his war on the media. They think that's where the root of the problem lies. But they were as I never heard Chuck Schumer's name mentioned, but Mitch McConnell was practically burned in effigy. So I think it's gonna be tough for establishment Republicans to hang on to this bag.
All right, well, let's go ahead and take a listen to what they had to say.
My name is Michonne Maddock, and I am one of the co-founders of the Michigan Trump Republicans. And the purpose of these events was really, in the beginning, we just wanted to find a place to gather Trump supporters together. Diane Schindelbeck and I worked very hard to elect Trump here in Michigan. After Trump was elected, we kind of thought we would be able to relax a little bit and enjoy the fact that we got him elected, but immediately we sensed that he was not only under attack, but that the voters who supported him were confused. They were looking for answers. We have been continuing to receive text messages, emails, phone calls, even today, all the time, trying to help combat the fake news that they feel like they're being fed.
My name's Polly Kingsley. I'm from Milford, Michigan. I think under the extraordinary and historical attacks and sabotage that have been happening to try to take this president and his presidency down, I think he's doing remarkable. I can't imagine anybody having this kind of pressure and still accomplishing what he's been accomplishing.
Roseanne Punkowski. I'm from West Bloomfield, and I am the president of Michigan Conservative Coalition. Well, I've never been happy with the Democrats, and yeah, it basically extends to the Republicans because they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're not upholding the Republican platform. They're not doing what we sent them there to do, which we clearly did when we gave them the House, then we gave them the Senate, and then we gave them the President, and they still have not heard the message, as incredible as that may be.
Hey everyone, can I first say David and Amy, so you guys are...
All right, my name is John Brewster. I'm here to support my president, Donald Trump. Watch a lot of the news outlets and all that, and they actually they almost try to answer your questions for you. They try to tell you how you think. And I think it is a swamp, or a sewer as he called it. I think it's and that's on, I hate to say it, on the Republicans and the Democratic side. I know I'm supposed to be 100 rah 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 Republican, but I feel like he's not getting help from both sides because he actually is trying to clean it up in there, and he speaks for, I feel like he speaks for us.
A really interesting look, and by the way, Nolan shot that video too, so I'm really impressed by that. But I'm going to start with you, Stephen, and I'm going to let you kind of weigh in on what you heard, and was it what you expected to hear?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the people who voted for Donald Trump, many of them, and the people who are left supporting him, and let's make it clear, they represent about 30 to 35% of the population at this point. I mean, they're focused on what they felt ignored about. They're focused on how they felt marginalized for a long time. He has, since he's been elected, sort of ramped up the whole idea that any criticism of him is an attempt to marginalize the people who support him. And so that, I think the response is pretty predictable, that look, I want to be heard, I want to be counted, I want the things that I thought I was going to get out of this presidency, and the enemy is the media for not doing it, or the Republican majority in Congress. you know, the question is at what point those folks start to be disillusioned by the lack of progress, and whether they start to blame the guy who they put their support behind at any point. They seem, I mean, you know, a kind word is delusional about his performance so far, which has been abysmal. But you know, they are very motivated by this sense of marginalization, and I can totally identify.
So
with
do you think that they would ever shift focus when they don't believe anything that they're hearing from the media, Nolan?
Well, I think these are satisfied customers. They are listening directly to the president. I don't think they're paying much attention to what the media says, other than as confirmation that you know, their man is, that the one guy, he wasn't on this tape, but he called it a silent coup, and you know, against the president, that they're trying to bring the president down. And it seemed to me the more he's under attack, the stronger their support. And I would say, though, I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of frustration there, even though, you know, the things that were promised aren't being passed, or, you know, they're not being put in place. They really feel like he's doing what he said he was going to do, and they love the fact that, you know, he's still Donald Trump. He's still, you know, fighting and
I mean, I was curious, and I don't know if you asked any of these folks this. I mean, a couple of the people identify themselves as, you know, diehard Republicans. They don't like the Democrats. But it would be really interesting to ask them what they were saying after 6 months of the Obama administration about respect, about attacks, about the kind of things that they're complaining about in this video, which of course were at a much more fevered pitch and a much less legitimate pitch 8 years ago as they are now. I mean, here you had a president who couldn't say very much without virulent, nasty, personal, racist opposition.
I don't think any group. I think that's more than you'd expect from any group of voters to go back and say, well, they did it to him. You know, they're focused on their guy. I would not even describe these folks that we're talking to as that ardent Republicans. They were Trumpsters, and they were vilifying Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan and others. And I wouldn't say their allegiance was to the party. It's to the president.
Let me ask you this, though. Did you ask any of them about, like, what can the media do to change the perception that everything that we say is untrue or a blatant attack or coming from some kind of bias?
No, but you know, some of them gave some very specific examples of what they thought fake news looked like. And you know, the one fellow told me that it's not all, when he hears the word, he doesn't assume that it's a made-up story, but it's, you know, all about what stories the media are prioritizing, where they're playing the negative stories versus the positive stories. You know, they were pretty aware that there's an imbalance there, and there's not much focus on what they see as the accomplishments of the administration.
All right, pretty interesting. I think we got to send you out in the field a little more often, Nolan. Maybe on a couple overpasses when it snows. Chicken wings are good.